Okay, so good morning, everyone, and welcome to this course, the AV211, which is Analog Electronic Circuits course. And this is going to be a combined course for both BTech ECE students as well as BTech Engineering Physics students. So first of all, for the BTech ECE students, welcome to the department. I think this is the first course. Of course, you would have had a basic electric course and a basic electronics course as well. But this is when you kind of put your feet into the water, literally, right? So welcome to the department. To introduce myself, I'm Emmanuel Raja. So I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Avionics. So I've been here in IIST since 2019, and this is the third time that I'm handling this course. A little bit about myself. I'm originally from Chennai, and I did my bachelor's there in Anna University, then followed by my PhD and MS from IISc Bangalore. I have a couple of years work experience in Qualcomm, India, where I worked on IC design, and subsequently I joined here as faculty. So I'm really happy to teach this course, and usually this course has evinced a lot of good response from the students in terms of enthusiasm to study and to learn and to absorb the concepts and so on. And for the engineering physics students, so welcome to a course from our department. And so you guys will be actually, if you look at your seniors, they have taken a separate course, probably in their fourth semester, but with a little bit of realignment of the structure of the course and so on. This course has been combined together. So with that, let me welcome all of you. So I hope I can see there are 75 people in the meeting, so which means 74 students. I hope, so what is the strength of ECE students? Can I just have a number? A representative or, yeah, someone can give me a
It's 60. It's a 60.
60.
61.
61, okay. Okay, 61 from ECE. So how many from engineering physics?
Sir,
20.
19.
19, okay, good. So that should be, yeah, 80 students. So yeah, probably a few are on the way to join. Okay. All right. So let me start with sharing my, so today is going to be the introductory class. We will look at some very basic stuff. And I hope this course will be something where you will really enjoy learning this course. Okay. Rather than, going through some textbooks and, writing some equations and, uh, I hope this course you will find it to be a course with a difference. And with that, let me just move to some slides that I prepared. Right. Okay, I hope you guys can see my screen. All right. Okay. So I will also be handling the analog electronic circuits lab, which is AV231. This lab is for the BTech ECE students and not for the engineering physics students. Okay, so let's just go over let's start with the logistics. Okay, right. Okay. So the timing is slot A, which means Monday 9 to 9:45, Tuesday 10 to 10:45, Wednesday 11 to 11:45. The lab slot for the ECE students is Thursday 2 to 4:30, and also Friday 2 to 4:30. And we will also have, so I'm not sure how we are going to handle it this time. Last time we had one slot, I think Thursday was entirely analog circuits lab and Friday was entirely for the ECAD lab. So let me discuss with the faculty in charge and get back to you and with what we are planning to do this year. So typically if the students are in campus, what we do is like, you split into two batches. So the first, 30, you have 61 students, right? So around, yeah, 30 students come for the first batch and the next 30 students come on Friday. And it will be the other way around for the ECAD lab. So we'll figure out how we are going to go about with the lab. It might be entirely on Thursday for analog circuits, or we might even split up. Okay. All right. Now, this class, since it is common, we will handle this. We'll have this classes together, And the lab course not for the engineering physics students, but if some of you guys are really keen on just knowing what's happening, and if you have a free slot during that time, you're welcome to join and see, kind of participate. But of course, you'll not be evaluated and you'll not be given the credit. So, but if you have a slot which is free during the time, you're welcome to join in for the lab. Okay, because anyway now it is online. All right. Now, please create a WhatsApp group for this particular course, especially since it is, two branches together. Uh, Maybe the representatives from both the branches can take it up as an initiative. Please add my number also. I think Anmol has my number. Anmol, you are in this class, right? You are ECE student, right? Yes, good.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So you please add me also so that I think WhatsApp is the fastest and the easiest way to communicate. And so you can post your doubts there as well, and I'll try to reply. Of course, I've seen that students keep posting doubts in the night and on weekends as well. So I'll respond to it when I, kind of get to it. But otherwise, usually I try to be as prompt as possible in helping you out. Okay. And yeah, so before I go into the motivation, so a couple of other things. As far as the lab is concerned, we are upgrading our lab in such a way that since most of you are joining from your homes, you will have to some extent a hands-on experience. What I mean is we have already got two tables which are populated with these upgraded equipment. We are going to get another 5 tables populated with these upgraded equipment where uh, the measurement equipment like the oscilloscope, the function generator, the power supply, and multimeter, all these four pieces of equipment are connected through the Ethernet to a PC where you can operate the equipment through your computer. Okay. And so what we plan to do is that we will have 7 such benches available. And what you guys who are joining in from your homes, what you guys can do is we'll give you TeamViewer logins or AnyDesk logins. So you can kind of control the PC to which these equipments are connected. So what you will be able to do is you will be able to control each of these equipments. Okay. Of course, since you are away from the lab, you will not be able to physically make the connections. So for that, we take the help of the tutors as well as the teaching assistants. But you can make the measurements, you can set up the supply, you can look at the plots, you can capture the plots, do all those things. So this is to give you a better quote and hands-on experience on doing measurements and playing around with lab stuff. So this is the kind of the best that we can do during these times of uh, during these critical times. Okay. And the other thing is, if any of you are facing issues with having laptops or connectivity, please do let us know so that at the beginning of the semester itself, whatever needs to be fixed, whatever needs to be addressed, we can do. It can also be that if you don't have good connectivity and other things, if you need to come back to the campus, you guys can come back here. We can work it out, but please do it at the beginning of the course. We don't want you guys to, tell at the end of the semester saying that I don't have a proper laptop, I'm not able to do simulation exercises, I'm not able to do this exercises or assignments and things like that. That is a very last minute. That time we really cannot help. So if you have issues, please let us know at the earliest. Okay. And we will identify teaching assistants for this course also. That might take a couple of weeks. But other than that, please feel free to ask doubts during this course. Okay, I want it to be as interactive as possible. And I would like you guys to be fully involved in the learning process. Okay, all right. Now, motivation. So, why should you learn this course? Why should you even take up this course? Okay. Now, do you like to look at circuit schematics or circuits and circuit schematics and be able to understand how it works without too much of mathematical analysis? You might have heard of or seen some people who can look at some circuit diagrams, look at the schematics and then say, okay, this circuit will work or this circuit, this is what it's going to do. without doing a lot of, extensive mathematical calculation. Basically, they have learned intuitively, right? They've got a good intuitive understanding of how circuits work, right? Now, again, do you like to design your own circuits, right? Do you like to, are you really enthralled by, electronic circuits? Do you often wonder, like, how do these things work? Can I design them on my own? Can I design them from scratch? Okay, can I build my own circuit board, right? Can I build a system which will actually work? Okay, right? That's the third point. Do you like to not only design circuits on paper or design, just some PCBs and things like that, but rather test it and see it actually work in the real life, right? So I hope this course will really help you understand these things, okay? And it's not only just some small circuits and there. Do you like to put together a full system, a full electronic system, okay? Now, all these things, I hope this course helps you to do that. And by the time you finish this course, let's say in December, I hope to a very large extent, you should be able to do these things, all right? I hope this is exciting enough to, for you to put in your heart and soul and study this subject, all right? Okay. So another question that a lot of people ask is why analog, right? Aren't we living in a digital world? Right? Why are we still learning some analog circuits? Isn't it all kind of totally outdated, right? So many people have that misconception. So today I want to just show you that it is actually a misconception. I'll show you where all analog circuits are used and how critical they are. Right. So if you see these thing, let me just change it to a. Oops, okay. All right. No issues. Okay. Right. So if you look at this, if you look at any real world signal, okay. So it can be speech signal. Right now I'm talking and you guys are listening, and you guys are all sitting in different parts of India. And the reason or the way by which we are able to communicate is because my speech, which is an acoustic signal, right? When I'm speaking, what is happening is the air pressure changes according to the way I speak, right? It's an acoustic signal. Now it is converted to an electrical signal by a sensor, and that is basically a microphone, basically my headset that I'm using here, right? And that goes through a lot of things, like you have signal conditioning, you have amplifiers, you have filters, you have analog to digital converters. Now all these things are required for this speech signal to get converted from an acoustic signal to actually digital bits, right? And okay, I have a Bluetooth headset, so which means it does the analog to digital conversion here in this particular element, and then it wirelessly transmits it to my laptop. And then beyond that, it's basically digital processing, communication, and then you're receiving it at your end. And at your end, what happens? So you have a digital to analog converter, right, which is the DAC. And then you need filters like low pass filters and so on. You need amplifiers, you need drivers, right? If you're able to listen through your laptop speakers, it means that there is a small power amplifier which is driving your laptop speakers, which is an analog component. If you're listening it even through your headphones, there is a headphone driver amplifier which is sitting inside your laptop or inside your phone for that matter, right? And all these circuits are built into the systems that we are using. Okay, so if you look at most of the digital world, it's basically that you use it for processing and for storage, right? It's easy to store digital bits, it's easy to process digital bits, but all the real world signals, for example, I gave you the example of speech, right? You're also seeing my video, right? So that is again light energy, which needs to be converted to electrical signals. So that's a real world signal, which is analog in nature, right? And if you talk about temperature or pressure or displacement or velocity or whatever type of signal that you might take, right? So all these signals are analog in nature, and in order to interface them, what is typically called as interface electronics is heavily analog in nature. So it doesn't matter how advanced you go in your digital technology, right? You still need this interface elements which can interface your digital bits to the real world signals. All right. So we are going to look at many of the aspects which are covered in these two blocks. Okay. Now, yes,
Sir,
yeah.
sir, what is the DAC in fourth block?
It's a digital to analog converter. DAC, okay, digital to analog converter. This
Okay,
is
sir.
analog to digital converter. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so this is a board which was developed by the faculty members and some students in our department, which was actually flown by IIST through one of ISRO's rockets, and it was a successful one. Okay, so what you're seeing here was basically flown on a rocket, and basically they made measurements in the ionospheric region, because I was not involved in this particular project because this kind of happened a little before I joined or around the time I joined. And you can see that, basically there was a sensor which was there, which is called as a retarding potential analyzer. And it was to make some measurements in the ionosphere. So you can see that there are different sections here. This sensor conditioning is completely analog. This power processing, basically this is power electronics, right? This is also analog. The analog front end you can see here, right? Basically some op amps and some elements around it. This is also obviously analog. Only this part is digital. So this is a microcontroller and some telemetry related things are there. So you can see this is a very typical system. So even in space systems, whenever you have sensors, whenever you have, whenever you are dealing with real world signals, you have to have analog electronics to help you interface them with the digital world. All right. Now, this is a typical modern communication system. When I say modern communication system, these blocks are basically present in all our mobile phones, all our laptops. Okay, wherever you have wireless communication happening, you have these blocks being present. Okay, so this is an antenna, you have a low noise amplifier, you have some mixer, you have a synthesizer. Okay, all these things you don't need to worry. I'm just showing you. You have filter, variable gain amplifier, you have analog to digital converters, and then it goes to what is called as your baseband digital processor or your modem. All right. Now, all these parts are basically analog and RF in nature. All right. Now, I do teach a course which is an elective in which is offered in your sixth semester, called as RF Integrated Circuits Design. So, where we look at the design of a low noise amplifier, mixers, and so on. All right. Synthesizer. So, all these RF blocks, basically radio frequency blocks, that is a course which I offer. I also offer another elective course in your seventh semester, which is called as Analog VLSI Circuits, where we look at how to design analog ICs. Basically, how do you design variable gain amplifiers, filters on chip, okay, things like that. All right, but you can see that all up to this point, yeah.
Sir, sir,
RF
what
is
is
radio
RF?
frequency. For
You are
example,
saying?
let's say even your 2G, for
Okay.
example, right? When you make a call, mostly you'll be talking over your 2G network, right? So it's around 900 megahertz, right? So 880 to 920 megahertz is the carrier frequency at which your communication happens. If you talk about Bluetooth, it is at 2.4 gigahertz, right? Your Wi-Fi is also around 2.4 gigahertz, right? You also have the WLAN A, which is at 5.5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. Some of you guys might be having it at home, but the other more popular Wi-Fi band is around 2.4 gigahertz. Okay, so these are all what come under what is called as radio frequency bands. All right. So in short, we call it as RF. Okay. Now, this is for a typical transmitter, which is also, this is what receives your signal, and this is what, transmits your signal. You have your baseband digital processor. Don't worry about all these blocks. I'm just showing you how, there are so many analog elements which are used in even today. Okay. So this is how your transmitter works. You have a digital to analog converter, you have filters, you have mixers, and then you have, pre-driver amplifiers, power amplifiers, finally your antenna. Okay, so basically, although we live in a heavily digital world, there are very niche areas or niche applications where analog is very extensively used and they form a very critical system. Okay, so this is a few years old, but this I took from the website that I've referenced at the bottom. This is basically an iPhone XS teardown. Okay, and basically what is listed here, what are the different chips that are used in an iPhone. All right, so you can see here that this color one is a Toshiba flash storage, which is a digital chip. You have the Apple audio codec, which is also a digital IC. You have a Cypress CPT2 USB power delivery IC, which is predominantly analog. You have an NXP display port multiplexer. Probably this is a digital one. And you also have a Texas Instruments battery DC converter. All the power related circuitry or analog in nature. Okay. And it continues here. So this big one is basically your Bionic SoC, which is of course your processor, which is digital. You have your ST microelectronics power management IC, okay, which is basically analog again. Audio amplifiers, 3 audio amplifiers, 2 for stereo and 1 for haptic. So this is analog again. Power management IC analog, power management analog, power management analog, battery charger analog. Okay, and this is on the other side of the board. This is a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth SoC. So basically, this will have both digital, I think, and analog components. And then you have a baseband processor or modem. This is digital. And you also have the ST microelectronics microcontroller, which is digital, NFC controller, digital. Wireless charging module, okay, this is more like an RF slash this component. The RF board, if you see here, you have mid-high band, high mid-band power amplifier, which is an RF component, duplexer RF component, power amplifier, which is an RF component, RF transceiver, which is an analog RF system, a chip, RF switch, GPS low noise amplifiers, which is again an analog RFIC, and then you have a power management IC, which is also analog. Okay, so this is basically to show you that there are a lot of places in which analog is still used. Okay, so although we are not going to look at chip design in this particular course, we are going to look at more of analog board design, similar to the one that I showed you earlier, but the concepts are very fundamental and they get applied everywhere. Okay, now analog design is still very crucial. Okay, especially as I mentioned, interfaces, the interface electronics, you have to do it very carefully. Otherwise, it's very easy to screw up your entire system. All right. So you can see that you take any consumer electronic product, you still have some analog chips or analog circuitry which are used, and even in military and space applications, we do use them. Okay. Right. Now, talking about analog design, I would say it's more of an engineering art. All right. It is engineering in the sense that it is, systematic. You use some mathematics, a little bit of mathematics. You have a more structured analysis, and you try to get scientific in that way. But it's also an art because you need to use your creativity, have an intuitive idea about how circuits are working, right? And if you have a certain requirement, you need to be able to think and say, okay, this is how I'm going to design my circuit. Okay. Many times, if you look at analog courses or analog circuits courses, they are mostly taken, or even textbooks, they try to put a lot of emphasis on analysis. What is analysis? I'm giving you a circuit, and then I'm asking you to derive, how it behaves, what is its gain, what is its noise performance, what is its bandwidth, all these different things. You are expected to just derive and then analyze a circuit, okay, understand its behavior. But there is another aspect which is called as design. And in this course, I want to have a good balance between analysis and design. Many times in many courses, in many analog circuits courses that you might find online or in many institutions, you will see that it's heavily towards the analysis and very, very little or hardly any design component. Okay, but you guys are all engineers, right? So you need to know how to design a system. All right. So my emphasis will be heavily on how do you design a system. You have to understand the system. You have to understand a circuit, and also you should know how to design a circuit. if I'm going to give you some set of specifications, you should be able to start with the specifications and then design your own circuit, right? Which should from scratch, and that should work, right? So I will try to bring in both as much as possible, okay? And that's how this course is going to basically work. All right. So this is the syllabus. You might find some version of it in the internet as well. So basically, let me look at the. So there are reference books. I'm going to use a very strict textbook. The first book is a very nice book, The Art of Electronics by Horowitz and Hill, and it's a very good book. It has a more practical bent of you know thinking there. The second book, which is Analog Microelectronic Circuits Theory and Application by Cedar Smith, I think up to the 7th edition is out now. You can pick any version, any edition that you're able to find. It is a very nice book which you can use. All right. And the third book is called as Designed with Operational Amplifiers and Analog Integrated Circuits by Sergio Franco. So all these three books are basically what you can call as classics in the field of electronic circuits, and please pick them up, read them, and what I mentioned here is, see, uh, from this point on in your academics, it's going to be quite different. Okay, your up to your 12th standard, you had a lot of spoon feeding. It's like you had a textbook, you studied the textbook, you just wrote the answers, and it was done. So probably even in your first year, you had kind of an upgraded version of the same system. Uh, and of course, you would have had questions which are quite different from your school, right? It's more on how you apply and understand. But the moment you kind of step into your respective departments from your third semester on, uh, the way the evaluation system, everything happens is going to be different. Okay, so you need to be present in the class, pay attention to the class. If for some reason like power failure and you know uh, internet disruptions and things like that, you're not able to attend the course, please follow it up when you get the power activity. uh, I will put these courses on YouTube. Of course, I'll put them as unlisted ones, and I can share the link. Or I think if the representative is already recording these things and sharing the link, that is also fine. So make sure that you attend or all the lectures or watch lectures, because I'm not going to exactly reproduce what is in textbooks. All right. Now, all you guys are quite bright and brilliant, right? So you guys can take up a textbook, read it, and understand it. All right. But what I'm going to do in this course is not to just basically take the textbook and reproduce it here. Okay. I'm going to kind of try to go beyond the textbook. Of course, I have to explain the basics in the textbook, but what can be done in the 45 lectures that are there is that I cannot go line by line, word by word through the textbook, or literally go through all the things that are there. Okay, so which is where your reading comes into the picture. Okay, so for every class that you attend, you need to at least spend a half an hour reading the relevant portion in any of these textbooks. Okay, so you would find some of the material in uh, any one of these textbooks. Sometimes the material can be there in all the three of these books, but make sure that for each lecture that you attend, you at least spend another half an hour or so reading the textbook or reading the book as an accompaniment, so that you get the full picture. All right, so that's quite important. All right. Now, there are some, from this semester onwards, we are practicing what is called as outcome-based learning or outcome-based education. So these are the stated course outcomes. So at the end of this course, these are the things that you should be able to do. So first of all, you should be able to understand, small signal operation, biasing techniques for both BJTs and MOSFETs, and you should be able to both analyze and design amplifiers using both BJTs and MOSFETs. All right, and you also should be able to understand concepts of all these concepts which are used in circuit design, which is frequency response, noise, feedback, non-linearity. These are all very fundamental concepts when you talk about any electronic circuit. Okay, and you also have we will go through differential amplifiers, instrumentation amplifiers, tuned amplifiers, power amplifiers, So all these things are there. We'll also look at wave shaping circuits, oscillators, multivibrators using transistors, op amps, and timer ICs. And we will work with op amps quite a bit. And we'll also see how you can build an electronic system. Talk about component variation, temperature dependence. These are all real world problems. How do you design an electronic system with all these things? Okay. Now, this is a tentative course plan, right? So there are about 6 modules in this course. The first module is basically we'll talk about devices, which is basically we'll go through the BJT basics. Have you guys, how comfortable are you guys with BJTs? So can you tell me what all you covered in your electronics course?
Sir, up to BJT, I thought we
Okay.
have covered.
So what all?
Sir, a little bit
Have you
amplifier
studied
also.
about common emitter amplifiers?
Yes, sir.
Common
Common
emitter, common
emitter
base,
amplifier.
common collector. Right. Okay. So
Vasudev sir explained very well all those
okay.
things.
Yes.
But we are not able to study amplifiers and all that because of reduction
Yes,
of
sir. He
syllabus.
just started. He just started every these things,
Mm.
but we have not much time.
We are not able to complete like we are not able to start
Okay.
amplifiers
Okay.
and all that.
Anyway, we will go through these amplifiers in detail. All right. So BJTs, we will.
Okay, sir.
So have you studied about temperature dependence of BJTs and temperature drifts? No. Okay.
No, sir.
But I hope you're comfortable with
No.
DC biasing of BJT and beta, alpha. Right.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Good. Yeah, so
Yes.
I will start off with that, and also I'll introduce MOSFETs. I think MOSFETs you haven't studied, right? Right, okay.
No, sir.
No,
So
sir. We
we will
haven't
look at MOSFETs as
studied.
well, right? Okay. So we will start with that, and then we will go through the different amplifier design as well, analysis as well as design. We'll look at all these concepts, op amp circuits, how to design circuits using op amps, and then all these things. So this is a rough course plan. Typically what happens is, although the plan might have 45 lectures, because you have the quizzes coming in and also you have these holidays and other things, we might at best be able to make up to 38 to 40 lecture hours. Okay. But we will try to cover the entire thing as much as possible. All right. Okay. Now, course assessment. All right. So, quiz 1 20%, quiz 2 20%, internals 20%. Now, for your internals, what I would like you to do is to design a system. Okay, design an electronic system, and I would like you to design a complete system where you start with the specifications, right? Do the required mathematical analysis, do your circuit design, select your components, okay, do simulation results. I had put PCB schematic and PCB layout also here, but then I was thinking I will move this to the lab, okay. So we will not have PCB schematic and layout in the course project, but I would like you to start, for the course project, I would like you to do all these other things, okay, simulation using LT-Spice and component selection and all these things, okay, and end semester is 40%. Now, this is typically how we will be looking at quiz 1. Quiz 1 we'll have, mostly CO1 and CO2, which is basically, BJTs, MOSFETs, biasing, transistors as a switch, and all the amplifiers. And then let's see how it actually works out, okay? All right. So any doubts, any questions, anything that you guys would like to ask? All right. Yeah.
Sir, out of the steep that you mentioned, which one of the book would be mainly you'll be
Okay,
using?
let me go to the textbooks. Where are they? Right. Okay. So actually, I'll be deriving from all the things. So for transistors and amplifiers, transistor amplifiers, microelectronic circuits by Cedra Smith would be helpful. All right. And some of the DC circuits and some of the application circuits or practical circuit will be taken from Art of Electronics. Okay. Uh, and op amp related
Okay.
circuits will
Thanks.
be from this third book. Actually, both all the three will have op-amp related circuits, but I think I might, stick to the last two maybe. But Art of Electronics has a more practical bent to whatever we do. So it's not going to be strictly one textbook or whatever. Okay. But for BJT and MOSFETs, their device and DC biasing and amplifiers, I think the second one, Cedar Smith, is a good one, good place to go. All right.
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anything else you guys would like to ask? Yeah.
Sir, it is not a doubt, but sir, the last semester, since at the last time, sir, the syllabus was high and time was late. So, sir, in BGT, our concept is someone has a good concept, but someone don't are very much
Okay.
familiar in BGTs, especially in biasing. So, if you, sir, explain it before starting, then it will be helpful, sir, for the further that we study.
Yeah, I'll do that. That's not an issue. So I will start with the basics, which is why I had put even in the course plan that I'll start with the review of the base. So we'll go through the basics so that whoever has got some gap in their understanding can, pick up there. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I thought maybe since we have around 5 minutes time left, let me just start off with some very basic. All right. I'll not take too much time, and yeah, let me turn off my video. Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen? Oh, I am not sharing. Okay, let me share. Right.
Sir, one small doubt, sir. Sir, for revision, we just need to revise BJTs, or we should revise something, other things we should also revise.
So a little bit of BJTs would be good, and that is, I think BJTs, if you revise, it will be good. You will also be concurrently studying network analysis, right? So that is a very important course. Are you guys familiar with Kirchhoff's current laws, Kirchhoff's voltage law, KVL, KCL?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is something that you
Yes,
should
sir.
know.
Yes, sir.
You should have a working knowledge in KVL, KCL. Okay, and basically, that's basically my point here. Like, if you look at analog circuits, it basically has these components. All right, a resistor, inductor, capacitor. All right, you talk about voltage sources, you talk about current sources. All right, and you basically have BJTs, NP and PNP transistors. You will also be having MOSFETs, NMOS and PMOS. All right, and this is pretty much it, right? This is what your entire analog circuits is going to revolve around, and of course you will have an op amp. Okay. So pretty much most of your course is going to revolve around these components only. All right. So if you can understand how these components work, that is the required basics for your course. Okay. You will be surprised how much these simple components can basically complicate your life. But then, that's the interesting part. All right. Okay. So anyway, so I think it's not. Yeah. So I would suggest just make sure that you have you kind of brush up your KVL, KCL, so that if given a circuit, you know how to write all those equations and do an analysis. How does an inductor, capacitor work, a transformer work? Transformer not so much, will not be looking at it so much, but then these basic concepts are what are needed. So BJTs, please just kind of brush it up in case you feel that you have forgotten some of the things. Anyway, we will go through the basics from next class onwards. All right. Okay. All right. So let me close with this now, and yeah, thanks everyone, and have a nice day. So I hope you have a good
Thank you,
learning
sir.
experience. Yeah, thank you. Please create a WhatsApp group and add
Thank
me
you,
so
sir.
that it becomes easy to convey information. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.